Welcome to Aligned to Impact, the podcast where conscious leadership meets bold entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Summer Huntington, and each week we dive deep with founders, innovators, and thought leaders who are rewriting the rules of business from the inside out. Here we talk mindset, brand, content, culture, the real stuff behind building a legacy-driven business that doesn't burn you out. No filters, no fluff, just real conversations that inspire aligned action and intentional impact. If you're a visionary leader ready to create with purpose, grow with integrity, and lead with your heart, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Physician burnout is one of the major reasons of medical errors. It's also a big cause of physician burnout, and it directly has a societal impact because now that physician is questioning, why am I even here? Putting in 18 to 24 hours a day for 7 days a week and getting burned out and saying, I'm leaving the profession. And once they leave that career behind, it costs $1 million to replace that physician. And in underserved, marginalized communities, there'll be a lack or a shortage of physicians. And so that has societal impacts as well.
Big welcome to Jeffrey, who is the CEO of LifeSpan Digital Health. He is pioneering a very unique methodology of incorporating wearables, which are basically tools that we can use to track different wellness biometrics feedback for specifically for people in the wellness field and medical. So physicians and nurses are using this software, using this technology to predict burnout. Jeffrey, I'd love for you to just open the floor with a little bit of how you got into building out this operation.
Well, Summer, thanks for having me today. So it's been a long journey, about 14, 15 years in the making, and it really started off, it found me, I didn't find it. And it started off with my daughter passed away about 14, 15 years ago, and she left behind 4 young boys. And I came to realize that all 4 of those boys were neurodiverse. They all had autism. And so I started to look for support mechanisms and started to learn more about autism and found out that it is truly a spectrum disorder from early detection as an infant all the way through independent living as an adult. And I tried to find, where could I best start because it was so broad. And so I kind of went back to my roots. And I've been in technology now about 46 years. And I said, the best thing to do is build a support mechanism and get their foundational learning. So I started looking at technologies and services that would help them build their foundational skills, that will get them what they need to be able to socialize and integrate into normal society and not being in special education. And so that started me on the journey where I built a 3D virtual learning environment to deliver social skills to that group. It wasn't received in the U.S., but it was received in Portugal. And so we sold it in Portugal. Fast forward to my daughter, my youngest daughter, who started college. First year she was fine. Second year she started to decline and flunked out by the end of it. And I just came to find that she had overwhelming stress and anxiety, and she was suicide ideating. And that put me on the path to learning about student and higher and mental health and stress anxiety in higher education. And so I did some research, went to the NSF, got a grant, and worked with George Mason University and Purdue University. Purdue with the developing wearables, and George Mason University with building algorithms to identify stress, anxiety in those that are suicidal. We got a phase 1 grant, couldn't get the phase 2 grant, but that put me in line and in touch with University of Arizona, where we are right now. We've licensed intellectual property and methods from the university, and we are developing that now into an early detection platform that will be able to identify physicians and nurses, medical and healthcare professionals that are at risk for burnout. which is huge and a critical issue in healthcare. 50% of healthcare professionals, doctors and nurses, meet the definition of burnout, and 65 of those are in 65% are in emergency medicine. So it's a huge issue that we've developed a platform, and it'll be launching at the end of this month.
Wow. You have a long history in technology and really, really advanced applications of this before the AI boom, which is really, really
Yes.
interesting. So, for those of you listening that are not familiar with tracking, could you kind of go into just briefly what the measurables that you are detecting with the wearables, basically your wristwatch and the app, like kind of what that looks like?
Right. Well, it's not just a wristwatch, but it is wearable tech, and we're looking. And heart rate variability is one signal that's predominant, and it identifies the lack thereof, the lack of vagal tone. Well, and that it's a measure that shows your resilience. But we want to be able to not just rely on heart rate variability, but the other signals that have application. And so we look at the self-reported data and assessments. We also look at heart rate variability, skin conductance, which is sweat. We look at temperature and respiration, breath rate, and all of those are autonomic functions, signals of resilience and stress, or the whole sympathetic parasympathetic nervous system indications. And so we use those, cross-reference them to come up with a more accurate view of if someone has experienced high stress, anxiety.
Yeah, this is so, so needed. I'm sure many of you guys listening have experienced in a hospital the high volume that folks are going through patient to patient. It's a very, very stressful environment. And Jeff's company here is one of the first ones to be really testing this technology specifically for this population. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, we're one of the first. There's different degrees of research that are going on, but we're really one of the first companies that's building a platform specifically geared to address the epidemic of burnout across medical professionals.
That's amazing. Can you share a little bit about your role as CEO and how it aligns with the mission at LifeSpan Digital Health?
Sure. Well, one of my core responsibilities as CEO is to establish a clear strategic vision, and to establish a workplace culture. And that vision, it outlines where the company aims to be in the future. And it also serves as a roadmap for achieving those goals. So, in an era where change is constant, I see a CEO's role, and my role in particular includes fostering innovation, managing stakeholder expectations, and maintaining operational stability. And also, our focus is on pushing the technological boundaries, and that'll position Lifespan as a leader in the field of physician and healthcare worker wellness.
Yeah, that's definitely so important. It sounds like you're wearing a lot of hats to really move this project forward. And you have a pretty good team as well. I checked out your website and it looks like you have some key players as well. Tell me a little bit about your team.
Well, our team is multidisciplinary, and we represent over 150 to 200 years of combined experience in the field. And one of our partners is the head and chief of emergency medicine at UA Banner, Dr. Samuel Kime. Another is Dr. Michael Rulin out of Atrium Healthcare. He was head of medical education. And so, in product management and technology, data science, we have some really great professionals, as well as advisors behind the scenes.
And what's a typical day look like for you as a CEO right now?
Well, what's exciting about this is that there is no typical day in the life. At our stage, we're a pre-seed stage startup. And as a pre-seed stage startup CEO, you wear a lot of different hats: chief cook, bottle washer, scrub the floors, do everything else, take out the garbage. But in a rapidly changing environment, my job is to ensure that Lifespan remains competitive and relevant. And that can involve, investing and looking into research and development, exploring new markets, both now and in the future, and leveraging emerging technologies that will support our goal of continuous innovation.
Can you tell me a little bit about the app or the platform Empower that kind of coincides with the wearables? Just kind of walk us through what that looks like and how it's different from some other platforms that they're using in residency.
So right now, I'll do the reverse. Right now, state of the industry and best practice is self-reporting assessments, and they take those assessments, and there's like the Maslach burnout inventory, things like that, and then the Copenhagen inventory, and those assessments are 30 some questions, and they're not really, and it gives you a score. But those things are not preemptive. The market right now in the industry is reactive and based on observation. Lifespan's building an early warning system platform that'll be able to identify based on wearable metrics, based on self-reporting, based on identifying and looking at trends and patterns in that physician's social engagements to look for decline in socialization. And it analyzes all of those markers, and it comes up with a wellness score. So we're looking at, when we were doing stress and anxiety in college students, you can look at your heart rate variability or those autonomic functions and see that someone has anxiety. But burnout takes a long time to come, and you can start getting burned out over a period of 2-3 months, maybe more. So we want to start identifying people and physicians that are at risk way down the line before the symptoms start to evolve, and give them recommendations on how they can build their resilience and build their grit long before it starts to impact them personally or professionally.
In my master's in kinesiology, I studied a lot of prevention and interventions for this sort of thing. And they always said the old adage, an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. You've heard that one?
Yes.
And it's so true. It's like, you don't want to wait and be reactionary when the burnout happens and then it's impacting someone on the job or it's impacting a patient. It's like we want to have those markers in place to predict it and to prevent early.
Well, physician burnout is one of the major reasons of medical errors. It's also a big cause of physician burnout, and it directly has a societal impact because now that physician is questioning, why am I even here? Putting in 18 to 24 hours a day for 7 days a week and getting burned out and saying, I'm leaving the profession. And once they leave that career behind, it costs $1 million to replace that physician. And in underserved, marginalized communities, there'll be a lack or a shortage of physicians. And so that has societal impacts as well.
I love that you're tracking the actual impact of the operation from a cost perspective. I think that's really smart. What major trends are you seeing in the intersection of wearable healthcare tech and burnout prevention in healthcare?
Well, Lifespan, we don't follow the shiny things. We identify a problem or an unmet need within a population or an underserved area, and conduct customer discovery to determine root causes. And, sometimes the solution is a process change and is very limited to it has very limited technical innovation. So, we develop and implement technologies to really impact positively people's lives, make people better. And that doesn't always mean that you go with that next great thing. But what we are seeing is that there are trends in AI that's taking over with Gen AI and AI agents. We looked at wearables are getting smaller and more sophisticated, where they're single modal, say just heart rate variability. The trend is going towards multimodal, a wearable that can not that can track multiple biometrics at the same time.
Okay, so you're staying ahead of the trend and basically setting a lot of the new trends, it sounds like.
Yes.
How has the conversation around heart rate variability and stress tracking evolved in the past 5 to 10 years, specifically within the medical setting, would you say?
So, heart rate variability is not a new topic by any means. Initial research on this topic was initially conducted during the early 1940s. And, over the years, along with the significance of, HRV analysis, feature extraction and modalities used to assess heart rate variability, has also evolved. Ambulatory detection of HRV is the current resolve for most researchers who, hope to make pragmatic and positive impacts on the health and well-being of, patients that are suffering from congestive heart failure or hypertension or diabetes, chronic stress, or things like myocardial infarction. So, patients suffering from those pathologies need to be monitored throughout the day in order to present a serious calamity. We're looking at HRV in conjunction with other multimodal signals, like I said before, like respiration rate, like skin conductance, like temperature, in order to get a really true picture of that health and wellness and the picture of vagal tone or vagus function, the vagus nerve function. So that's how we're looking at it. We also are working with one of the leading HRV experts in the field out of the University of Arizona, Dr. Richard Lane, and he's doing great research on the field of HRV.
Yeah, I can speak personally to using HRV tracking and respiratory tracking and sleep quality. It's been a big game changer for myself and my clients. I do a lot of one-on-one work with wellness coaching. And so generally when you put a tracker on somebody, it just helps them to make better decisions, better sleep, avoiding alcohol, making sure they get their moderate intensity exercise, which are all things that improve HRV scores and the other scores as well. Tell us a little bit about what would benefit the business right now at the stage you're in. Are you guys looking for more case studies, or how are you getting the technology into hospitals right now? What's that look like?
So right now, we are still in development. We are building our minimally viable product. It's in testing right now, but we were very fortunate where we launch in April. We'll be launching to 4 major medical centers. And so we are starting off in emergency medicine, and we'll have a 6 to 9 month pilot with 4 major medical centers of their emergency medicine departments, and then within those, we're going to stretch out and based on our findings, we'll adjust whatever things are based on their feedback, and move within those 4 accounts, those 4 partners, to look at other opportunities in other specialty areas, as well as using their testimonials to go out and engage other medical centers within emergency medicine. And the next big thing for us is nursing, because there's 4 million nurses that we're looking at in the United States, and that's a huge underserved population. So we're going to make our strides in emergency medicine. We're engaged with the College of Nursing at the University of Arizona, and Dr. Kathleen Ensel, and she's working with us to identify opportunities within nursing discipline.
Wow. I feel like this could scale really, really fast. Once you get those pilot studies going, it's going to be like wildfire.
I believe so. There's definitely a need, and once we get our feet up under us and get our traction, we'll look at going into other verticals like legal or first responders, military, like the pararescue units, but it has and corporate wellness. So it has use implications across other vertical markets.
Absolutely. When you take on, let's say you take on a hospital or a large facility, how do you go about giving everyone the wearables and implementing the technology? Do you have a design for that? Or and like how long does it take to get everyone on board, like all of the physicians and nurses? What's that process look like?
So the process is really, we have an onboarding process that's really streamlined. We'll meet and we'll go through the pilot plan. We'll start training, and then there's nothing to implement within the institution themselves. There is, we have two components. There is a mobile application that's downloaded from either the Google or Apple stores, and they'll access, and that's for the resident physicians themselves. And for the program directors, the leadership of the programs, there's a web-based platform where they'll get their dashboards and be able to get a population level view, a cohort level view of those residency programs and the wellness, how it aligns with those programs and those cohorts' wellness and their performance, clinical performance.
Okay. Do you anticipate any kickback from maybe folks that know that they're in a higher risk category? Like how would you be able to, the people that need it the most often are the ones that don't really feel comfortable tracking. And so I'm curious if there's anything set in place to help those higher risk individuals.
Well, we're making it as frictionless as possible, and we're making it as easy. Doctors don't have a lot of time to go through a 30 question review. So we're giving them, we're engaging them in small snippets, in small little increments. 2 questions here, 3 questions there, using chat bots, using some game-based approaches to get them engaged. You log in, you connect your wearable, you get 20 points. If you go and you finish this assessment on time, you get 50 points. And our vision is to be able to redeem those points, not just for a little trophy in a virtual environment, but now if you get 100 or 1,000 points, now you can redeem that with you and your wife getting a day off, you getting a day or 2 days off, and you and your wife taking a little vacation or something like that. But redeem them for real world value that will help you build your resilience and your grit.
Oh my goodness. Now we have gamification and we have incentive.
Yes.
That is like such a brilliant 3-prong, maybe 4-prong approach there. Have you gotten buy-in from leadership in the facilities that can provide those rewards?
Oh, definitely. They have it's just, they do things now within those programs, potluck dinners, giving them, take this day off for a massage, or someone else will take over your rotation, things like that. And we're just putting the game-based activities to it. So now, you'll see, and there's something that you can physically redeem. And so, so we're aligned with the programs to incorporate this into some that already have those programs in place. And we're just, making it a little more engaging.
I love it. Yeah, I've definitely done quite a few interventions where there's an extrinsic reward, and it does work well, but I think the tying in the intrinsic motivation as well, so that there's a carrot initially, but then the intrinsic reward of feeling better, feeling less burned out, feeling more in control of these biometrics and understanding them more. The education piece is huge for intrinsic.
Yes.
What are any frustrations that you've had at this point in the business in the pre-seed stage, getting it off the ground?
It's really that we're too early, and we're charting new territory. And, and a lot of, I will say some of the investors or some of the medical industry knows that it's needed. Those institutions know that it's needed. What we're up against is that we're shining a light on what the issues are. And some of them want it to stay in the dark. They don't want to know that their program's not working or their residents are unwell. because it has implications. And so it has implications in their recruiting. It had implications of them maintaining their accreditation with ACGME. And so, sometimes not having those fast facts, having that subjective view rather than objective data works better at a leadership level sometimes. What you don't know won't hurt you. So those are some of the challenges at an institution level. At a personal level, nobody wants to know that they're unwell or get a score that that you need help. And so we're trying to smooth that over and how we engage with them and let them know that we're here to help.
Well, coming from a background in optimizing performance, my first inclination is how do you if you've thought of this or if you already are doing this, how do you incorporate the moderate intensity exercise programming, which is one of the best ways for people to maintain and avoid burnout? Like, how do you integrate the movement piece, if at all? Is it
So we monitor and report on different metrics, like I said, diet, exercise, sleep. So we brought on board experts on our advisory board that are experts in those particular fields, and we incorporate those recommendations into our engine and make them available as coaches. So and they'll be also doing podcasts within our platform. Nice. They'll be doing webinars within our platform. So it's not just subjective. We're not just pointing them in a direction, but we're making those resources available to them in real time.
Love it. It's such a holistic and comprehensive approach. It's really a very innovative mission that you're working on. Where do you see the business in the next 12 months? Where do you guys want to be?
In 12 months, we're looking at, penetrating, we're looking at, being in 14 institutions. We want to be in, at least 5 different programs within each of those institutions. And that's where and those are predominantly penetrating emergency medicine. We want to be in major research, looking at and understanding the issues that go along with nursing. So that's where I see we are in the next 12 months is, in 10 to 14 institutions and penetrating the nursing realm with research.
Amazing. And where can we find out more about the company and initiatives, such as like a website, any social media accounts? Where can we find out more about what you guys are doing to get involved?
Well, I'm not a big social media guy, so I don't have our social media, but just look up LifeSpan Digital Health Inc. In Facebook and LinkedIn. But our website we're kind of in stealth mode, but you can still reach out to www.lifespan, D as in digital, H as in health, 1.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for being on Aligned Impact podcast. It's such a pleasure to hear from you as it's kind of getting started, and I look forward to hearing how it goes in the coming months.
Well, I appreciate your interest and your time and giving me this platform, so thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Aligned Impact. I'm truly grateful to have you here in this growing community of leaders, innovators, and conscious change makers. Check the show notes for all the links and resources we mentioned today, and you can explore more of my work and programs over at flowshala.com or connect with me on social media at Summer Huntington and YouTube as well for behind the scenes movement inspiration and business tips. Stay tuned for more episodes of Aligned Impact that inspire you to lead with intention, get empowered, and create aligned impact in your life and your community.